Hi everyone. Hope you are we are here for grade 9 math. You can find all the lessons on requeststudents.com. You have to log in there using your email address and password as provided by the administrator. Then you have to select math from the subject tab, scroll down to grade 9 math, and then click on view all lessons. There you can find a list of the chapters. We're going to start with the chapter relations and functions. The lessons we're going to cover today are identify independent and dependent variables, identify functions, identify functions when vertical line test, domain and range of relations. So please make sure you have your notebook and pencil so that you can note down the important examples and definitions very well. And chapter we are on right now, relations and functions. To start with the first lesson, identify independent and dependent variables. Logan is making sandwiches for a family picnic. The amount of bread he has determines how many sandwiches he can eat. V equals the amount of bread Logan has. S equals the number of sandwiches Logan can make. Which of the variable is independent and which is dependent? Just read this line again. The amount of bread determines how many he can make. Right? So that means the sandwiches are dependent, the bread is independent. Sandwiches are the independent variables and the bread is the independent. First, we need to learn what are the dependent and independent variables. So, the variable whose value does not depend on the other variable is the independent variable, and the variable whose value depends on the other variable is the dependent variable. So, the number of sandwiches is a dependent variable, while the bread is an independent variable. Got it? So, B is the independent variable, and S is the dependent variable. Let's just start with the test questions. Susie and Candice are organizing a car wash to raise money to buy a new hockey sticks for their school's hockey team. The number of hockey sticks they will be able to purchase for the team depends on the number of cars they rush. So S equals the number of hockey sticks Susie and Candice will be able to purchase, and C is the number of cars Susie and Candice wash. Which of the variable is independent and which is dependent? Okay, just read this line again. The number of hockey sticks they will be able to purchase for the team depends on the number of cars they wash. Number of cars is the dependent variable and the number of hockey sticks they purchase is the independent variable. So S is the independent variable and D is the dependent variable. Option number one is the correct option. O C is the independent variable because the number of cards depends on the number of hockey sticks. So C is the dependent and S is the independent variable. Emma is planning to go on rides at the Crawford Country Fair. So she must purchase some ride tickets. The number of ride tickets or purchases dictates how many rides she can go. T equals the number of tickets Emma purchases and R equals the number of rides Emma can go on. Which of the variable is independent and which is dependent? The rides are dependent on the ticket. T is the independent variable and R is the dependent variable. The Putnam Coffee House brews fresh roasted coffee beans to serve to their patrons. The amount of coffee they will need to brew in a day depends on the number of patrons they have. C equals the amount of coffee they will need to brew, and B equals the number of the patrons. Which of the variable is independent and which is dependent? So, which is the correct option? So, the amount of coffee is dependent on the number of patrons they brew, right? So that means C is the dependent variable and B is the independent variable. Option number two is the correct option. Lara is decorating antique picture frames to give us as gift to the member of her family. The number of gifts she can create is determined by the number of frames she has. G equals the number of gifts and F equals the number of frames. So the number of gifts is determined by the number of frames, right? So that means the gifts are dependent on the frames. F is independent variable and G is the dependent variable. Option number two is the correct option. Chetan is hosting a pizza party for the basketball team. The number of pizzas she will need to order for the party depends on the number of team members who attend. So P equals the number of pizzas Jaden will need to order, and T equals the number of team members who attend the pizza party. So P is the independent variable and T is the dependent variable option, but D is the correct option. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to next lesson. The next lesson is identify functions. Let's just start with the lesson. Look at this set of ordered pairs. Is this a relation? So look at the x values. They are 18, 1, 9, and 11. So for each value x, there must be only one value of y. So here we have for each x value, there is only one that is our function. Let's just start with the test questions. Look at this graph. Is this a relation or function? No, that is not a relation. Why? Because for each value of x, there must be only one value of y. So here for the one x value, we have two y values. So that is not a function. The correct option is no. Look at this set of ordered pair. 17, 3, 1, 19, 20, 55. Is this relation a function? Yes, it is. For each value of x, there is only one value of y. So yes, it is a relation. So sorry, the relation is a function. The correct option is yes. Look at this mapping diagram. Is this relation a function? So for each x value, there is only one value of y. So yes, that the relation is a function. Look at this table. Is this relation a function? No, the function is not a, the relation is not a function. The correct option is no. Is this relation a function? Yes, it is option number one is the correct option. Is this relation a function? No, because one x value maps to two values of y, so that is not. Is this relation a function? So that is it. The correct option is no, that is not a function. Option number two is the correct option. Is this relation a function? Yes, it is a function. Is this relation a function? No, that is not a function. Oh, yes, that is a function. Look at this mapping diagram. Is this a relation a function? Oh, that is not a function. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself. Have a good day. Let me just move in the next lesson. Identify functions vertical line test. Let's just start with the lesson. Look at this graph. Is this relational function? So we need to apply the vertical line. The vertical red line intersects the graph in two places, so the relation is not a function. You can use the vertical line test on a graph to determine whether a relation is a function. If it is impossible to draw a vertical line that intersects a graph more than once, then each x value is paired with exactly one y value. So the relation is a function. If it is possible to draw a vertical line that intersects the graph more than once, then there is an x value that is paired with more than one y value. So the relation is not a function. Let's just start with the test question. Look at this graph. Is this a relation a function? No, that is not a function. You have to make a vertical line. The vertical line touch the graph more than once point, so that is not a function. At this graph, is the relation function? Is the relation a function? Is this relation a function? No, that is not a function. Look at this graph. No, the relation is not a function. Look at this graph. Is the relation a function? The correct option is no, that is not a. Yes, that is a function. Look at this graph. Is this a relation or function? Yes, that is a function. Look at this graph. Is this a relation or function? Yes, it is a function. No, that yes, that is a function. The correct option is yes. Is this a function? Yes, it is a function. Option number one is the correct option. Oh, no, that is not a function. If we see a vertical line text, a vertical line crosses the graph more than one point, so no, that is not a function. Okay, we can complete the lesson by yourself. Let me just move on to next lesson. The next lesson is domain and range of relations. What is the range of the relation? Domain is the x values and range is the y values. You can just look at the y values for the points they are created. So the range of the set is -1, 3, and 4. Domain of the function means all the x values of the function. and range means all the y values of the functions. Let's just start with the test questions. What is the range of this relation? What is the range of this relation? The y values are -1, -3, and -5. So they are -1, -3, -5 option. The one is the correct option. Option number one is the correct option. What is the domain of the relation? Domain is the x value. So that is 4, -15, and -6. Option number two is the correct option. What is the range of the relation? The range is the y values. So that is 2, 0, -2, 0, -1, and -2. Option number two is the correct option. That is -2, -1, 0, and option number two is the correct. What is the range of this relationship? The range is the y value. So 14, -6, and 11. Option number two is the correct option. The first one is 14, not 4. What is the domain of the relationship? That is domain x values 3, negative 2, negative 4. Option number 2 is the correct option. That is negative 4, negative 3, and the option number 2 is the correct option. What is the domain of the relation? Domain is all the x values, right? So negative 5, negative 3, negative 1, and 2 option number 1 is the correct option. What is the range of the relation? That is 5, 5, and 15. Option number 1 is the correct option. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself. Everything. So we are working on grade 9 math. The chapter we're working on is relation and functions. The lessons we have covered today are identify independent and dependent variables, identify functions vertical line test, and domain and range of relations. So please make sure before the next session you can complete all the practice questions for the lessons you just did. That is your homework until next session. So if you need more help with any of the lessons, you can simply click on the live chat button. Tutors are available there to help you. Or either you can write down the question in the chat box and here to answer all your questions and confusions if you have any. So please ask questions if you have any. No questions? Okay, then